No.
Welcome to Benito Driving School, Bus Inspection, Class 2 in English. We will start with the engine components. As we start from the left to the right of the engine, we just visually check all the engine components and make sure that nothing's coming apart, everything's solidly attached. Engine oil was checked this morning. Also the transmission oil was checked this morning. If the liquids are low, we will add up before going on the road. The compressor is solid. If the compressor is loose to the point of breakaway, that will be a major defect. Our power steering fluid must be at the recommended level, and it is. If it is below the recommended level, this would be a minor defect. All engine components seem to be solid. If not, we will repair before going out on the road. Close up the engine component compartment and hold back as we will go to the front of the motor. Go to the front of the bus. We will turn on our lights and our four-way flashers. Put on the lights. Four-way flashers. Go to the outside of the bus. We will start from the top of the bus. All clearance lights are functional, otherwise we will repair before going on the road. It is a minor defect. Both windshields are okay. If it's cracked on the passenger, minor. On the driver's, major. Both headlights work. If one of the two headlights don't work, it's a minor. Both will be a major. Both flashers work. If one or more of the flashers don't work, that will be a minor defect. The vehicle is also balanced and the wheels are parallel and there's no deformation either on one side or the other. If the vehicle is leaning off to one side or the other, that may indicate a problem of the air suspension. If the air suspension has an air leak in which the compressor cannot compensate, that will be a major defect. If there's an air leak in which the compressor can compensate, that will be a minor defect. As we walk around the bus, we will check our mirror and make sure it's solidly attached. If that would not be the case, that would be a minor defect. All side paneling of the bus, nothing's coming apart. If so, that would be a minor defect. But if a panel of the bus comes apart and touches a rotating part of the vehicle, that will be a major defect. Both flashers are working. Single tire mount. We'll start with the thread of the tire. All visual components of the thread. Make sure that there's no foreign bodies lodged in the thread of the tire. If there's a foreign body lodged in the thread of the tire, permitting it to cause a blowout, that would be a major defect on a single tire mount. If the tire wall is cut or deformed, or we see the steel belted radial, that will be a major defect on a single tire mount. If the tire has an audible air leak or the tire is flat, this will be a major defect on any of the tires, whether it's a single mount or a double mount. The rim is not cracked or welded. If so, would be a major defect. My bolts are all present, none are missing. If a bolt would be missing, that would be a major defect. The valve is not damaged. If so, would be a minor defect. If an audible air leak, would be a major defect. If the tire comes in contact with any solid parts of the vehicle, this will be a major defect. As we head out to the back, we will check our dual tire mount. As we check the inner tire first, both tires present no foreign bodies lodged in them. As we do the turnaround, we see that the tires are intact and the wall of the tire is also in good condition. If one of the two tires presents a foreign body, it will be a minor defect. If both tires present a foreign body, it will be a major defect. If the tire wall is cut or deformed, it will be a minor defect on one and a major on both. If one of the tires has a flat or an audible air leak, that will be a major defect. The tire rim, the rim is not cracked or welded, otherwise a major defect. Both valves are not damaged. If so, would be a minor defect. If an audible air leak, will be a major defect. All my bolts are present, none are missing. If one bolt would be missing, would be a major defect. Tire does not come in contact with any solid parts of the vehicle, otherwise a major defect. To the rear of the vehicle, starting from the top, all clearance lights are functional. Both flashes are working, otherwise minor defect. Both parking lights are working, 1 and 2. If one of the parking lights does not work, one side would be minor, both sides are major. License plate is visible, otherwise an offense. Vehicle is properly stable in the rear. The wheels are parallel. If not, this would be a major defect, and if the vehicle will be leaning to one side or the other, presenting an abnormality of your air suspension. Minor defect if there's a leak in which the compressor can compensate. Major defect if there's a leak and the compressor cannot compensate. Side paneling of the bus is in good condition, nothing's coming apart. Flashers are both working front and rear. Tire thread Both tire threads are in good condition. All around. The tire wall is in good condition. No deformations. The rim is in good condition. The bolts are all present. The valves are both in good condition. Tire doesn't touch any solid parts of the vehicle. Front single tire mount. Tire thread is in good condition. All the way around. No defects. Tire wall is in good condition. My rim is in good condition. All my bolts are present. My valve is in good condition. My mirror is solid. At this point in time, I will ask the evaluator to go out in the back. I will go apply the brake. The evaluator will check me the brake lights, and I will check the individual flashers left and right. As we come into the bus, we will actually start the bus. We turn the on position, wait for the lights to go off, and press the start button. At this point in time, we take out the flashers. The evaluator will be out and back. Remove the emergency brake, the red one, pulling up on it. This removes the parking lights. Apply the brake. Brake lights are working. Left flasher, right flasher. Put the parking brake back on. The evaluator will come to the front and he will check left flasher and right flasher. And as the evaluator comes into the vehicle, we will ask him and tell him that the fire extinguisher is present and the 3 triangles in case of emergency are also present. If any of these are missing, it will be a violation to the Highway Safety Code. At this point in time, we will go take a look at our air pressure. We notice that the air pressure is building. We will wait for the compressor to stop operation. We will hear the air dryer go off when the compressor stops. So it's building right now. We reached about the 120 mark. And we will wait till the air dryer goes off to confirm the compressor stopped operation. If the compressor does not stop operating between 117 and 137, that will be a minor defect. And we're approaching the 125 mark. As the 2 needles are approaching that 125, they're lightly over the 120. We should be hearing the air dryer go off at any point in time now. And the dryer just went off at 125. Both needles are stable around that mark there. That is fine. At this point, we will stop the engine from turning. We will remove the emergency brake. Cover the brake. Do not apply. Cover. Wait for the air to stabilize as it's descending. It's stabilized at 120. I will now apply the brake and see how much air is required to apply the service brake. So from 120, as we apply the brake, the pressure has descended to 118. The pressure is only 2. If it will descend more than 19 psi's, that will be a minor defect. At this point, we will hold our brake down, look at our needles, and listen outside for any audible or visual on the needle air leaks. If this would be the case, that we have an air leak, we would hold it for 1 minute and see if the descent will be anywhere between 3 and 5 pounds. If so, that would be a minor defect. 6 pounds and more would be a major defect. In our case, we have no drop in pressure, no audible air leak, no visual air leak. At this point, we will now start the engine, keeping our foot on the brake and the emergency brake off. We will now bring the pressure down to approximately 90 or slightly below 90 psi's, around the 80 mark. At that point in time, the compressor should start operation. So slightly below 90, right above 80. Watch the needles. Compressor has started operation. If it does not start at 80, that will be a minor defect. At the same time, our foot stays on the brake. The engine is turning at idle speed. We will check the compressor efficiency as it's going above the 90 and holding over 90 psi's. If the compressor cannot hold 90 psi's and more with our foot on the brake and the engine turning at idle, that will be a major defect. In this case, we've reached over the 90 mark and up to the 100, so the compressor efficiency is fine. Now we will drop the pressure until the low pressure indicator comes on as we pump our brake gently, and we will hear the low pressure indicator come on. As it comes on at about 80 psi, If it comes on below 55, that would be a minor defect. Put the emergency brake on, release the brake pedal. As the pressure is building in the system, we will check the rest of the accessories, starting with the mirrors. The mirrors are not dull, cracked, or tarnished. The visibility is good. If that would be the case, it would be a minor defect. We will now check our wipers, left and right, and apply the water. If the wiper on the passenger side is not operating, that will be a minor defect. If the wiper on the driver's side does not operate, that will be a major defect. The windshield washer fluid is operational. If it does not operate on either sides, will be a minor defect. Our hump is functional, otherwise minor defect. Our steering column, up and down, side to side, no extra stress on it, is solid. There's no risk of the steering or the steering column coming apart. If so, would be a major defect. At this point, we will now check the emergency brake by putting our selection into on the brake drive. Release the brake pedal. We see that the emergency brakes are holding back the vehicle. If not, that would be a minor defect. We will now put the brake on, release the emergency brake. As we will move to the left, we will look in our left mirror and see if the wheels in the rear are releasing from the brake system, and they are. And now onto the right, and we feel no restrictions. Also, we see visually that the wheels are removing, and the power steering is functional. If the wheels in the rear do not release, that will be a minor defect. If the power steering does not operate, that will be a major defect. Put the emergency brake back on, buckle our seatbelt, and this completes our pre-trip inspection.